Hey, how you doing? It's Mr. Producer. GIE Plus Expo is coming back October the 20th through the 22nd, and Brian looks forward to seeing you all there. Now, if you haven't registered yet, do so now and get 50% off the registration price with the promo code BRIAN. And of course, I'll have a link for you in the show description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys. And today, we got a solo episode. Today, it's just me in studio. I'm actually just coming off hot after recording two separate guest interview podcasts. Had an absolute blast with the two different people that we got to interview. All those will be coming down the pike. You know, today on this episode, I wanted to talk about, I don't have any like ideas when I really hit record. Okay, sometimes I throw down 4 or 5 quick notes, and these are just kind of talking points. But usually I get inspired. Usually I just get fired up about something, and then I let my subconscious do the talking. Okay, usually your boy here has listened to. I've said this 100 times. If you type in motivation or inspiration on YouTube, I've listened to the top 500 freaking videos deep, and I'm not kidding. Like when you scroll like on Google, it's the big GOOOOOOGLE, right? And we go through all those extra listings and the drop down playlist. Well, that's your boy here. I've listened to so much content. I've read so much content and books and audio. It's just, I just get fired up. I've been a student of success for 15 years. And you know why? Because I came from so far back, I had nothing. I was a blank slate. I was really like a -2. I talk about on this chart. Remember when you had like the X, quadrant and the Y quadrant, and you could be like -2 or +2. Well, +2 is like living middle class, right? Just having a good life and just actually paying your bills and making a couple bucks in life, right? And it's all relative, but you guys know what I'm saying. Well, I came from -2. It wasn't anything like negative or evil or we were just losers. I just came from a little bit farther back. Okay, I grew up in a double wide trailer. Didn't really have much, going on. Single mom, 3 kids. My dad passed away when I was 16 or 17, so that's been like 15 to 20 years already now. It's been a lot of life, right? And so my life was very chaotic and a tailspin for a decade, trying to figure out life, figure out money, all this kind of stuff, right? Here's what I want to talk about on today's episode. I wrote down new identity. I just wrote down at the top of this list, I wrote down something called a new identity. And I wanted to talk about something that I've really realized this last couple of weeks, maybe the last couple of months, was I'm not the same person that I was 10, 15 years ago. Okay, neither are you guys, by the way. We are all learning. We're all growing, and we're all changing. And who we are today is not who we were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, or a decade ago. Duh, right? Like, welcome to the groundbreaking thought process you get from the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, right? Hang with me because I'm going to get into it, and I think you guys will really appreciate this conversation. The reality is that who we are today is not who we were 10 or 15 years ago. And I don't just mean we're older or a little bit more wiser, right? I mean, we have grown up, we've matured, we've learned some things, we've become more valuable. Now, you can't start talking like this in today's world without people saying, well, slow your roll, be more humble. It's like, okay, let's just pretend that we're coming from a very humble perspective here on this podcast and on this talk. But I want to talk winner talk for a few minutes. I don't want to just have like all these different, asterisks and disclaimers. Can we just talk truth? Can we just like rip it from the frame for a couple quick minutes here? This is going to be a short and sweet episode. I want to just talk about the fact that who we are today is not who we were 5 or 10, 15 years ago. And the reality is I had a customer situation just a couple days ago. We're talking about pricing, right? And this will be a little Roger Bannister 4-minute mile talk here, right? We had a customer that signed up about 2 weeks ago for lawn service, and it got to the point where like we're swamped, we're busy, we're crazy busy, just like so many of you guys. Season's growing, business is booming, all these factors we talk about day in, day out on all the different podcast episodes, right? Like supply and demand, like we're all getting better at our craft, we're getting better at our numbers, and things are just going really, really well, right? So I had a customer approach us. Well, he was a potential customer, obviously. And he said, hey, can you cut my lawn? And I said, sure. And so I'm like hanging off of a lawnmower, and he, swung by on his car, and he's hanging out the window. Like, how much do you guys charge and all this stuff? And I said, yeah, $40. $40. And he goes, $40. And I said, yeah. Now, mind you, I was the guy that was cutting lawns for $20 and $22 for a decade, bro. A decade. Not making any money. Like, we had revenue coming in, and we do 50, 60,000, 70,000. I would net 20, 30, 40 grand, maybe, right? Maybe. But I was living at home. I didn't have any bills. I didn't have any responsibility. I didn't have any obligations. I meet a girl. We fall in love. I find out that she doesn't want to live in a 700 square foot apartment where you could literally vacuum the whole place from the middle outlet of our hallway all the way to the corner, and wrap around the kitchen, by the way, if you have the vacuum up the litter box area. All the way, you could take the vacuum to the other, our main bedroom, our master bedroom. Little spoiler alert, there's only one bedroom, right? So we could vacuum from end to end, tip to tip, the whole house, right? It was crazy, like a tiny little rinky-dink, rank halfway house apartment, okay? My wife was like, hey, I want nicer things. We want to have a better life. So I had to start figuring this stuff out, right? So a lot of transformation happened along the way. I was cutting lawns for $22, $23. I find YouTube. I jump on there, basically just like throw my life about on the internet, and I'm learning. I'm changing. I'm studying. I'm growing. And I had this like decade of, this palette of TNT that somebody eventually flicked a freaking match into, and it exploded. And I don't know if it was when I turned 30. When I turned 30, it was actually kind of the prerequisite, because I imploded and I exploded. Okay. I was 30 years old. My wife took me up to Charlevoix, Michigan. It's money, it's wealthy, it's beautiful, it's class, it's everything we didn't have back then. There's people with mega yachts. There's people with, the Amway guys are up there, $25 million homes. Is it Hatteras yachts? The Winds, the Four Winds or whatever, the boating company. They got this $15 million boathouse. Some of you guys sent me photos and videos. You guys know these people. It's just crazy. Like, who knows who? It's crazy. So at 30 years old, I'm like, I got to get my life moving. So I just went all out, massive action with my life. I had already been reading and studying and learning a bunch of success and motivational, info for 10, 15 years. And I was just like, you know what? Time to execute. I don't want to learn anything new for the next 5 years. I just want to execute. You know what I'm saying? And I get on YouTube and I'm learning from you guys, and we're putting this thing together, and Lawn Care starts making some money. YouTube starts making the money. And it's all relative. Like, it's not like we're making $1 million on YouTube. If I did, that'd be awesome, but who cares? So here's the reality. My lawn care prices are getting better. I'm getting better. And who I am today is not who I was 5 years ago. And it wasn't who I was 15 years ago, right? I got started. Okay, let's take it back. And I'm going to go back to the guy that, asked me for a $40 lawn care quote. So hang tight. Remember that thought. Because these parallel path stories we like to tell. So I go back to when I'm cutting grass in the trailer park, right? When I got started, I was the 13 to 15 year old kid push mowing lawns, right? And then let's just take it back to when I was 18, 19, 20, and I was doing the same thing. Because I had worked at Little Caesars for 4 years, got fired, worked at True Green, worked there for 18 months. In my second year starting at True Green, I decided to go all in with lawn care. So I would have came back like technically my second or third season with True Green, and they just said like, hey, you don't really work here anymore. And I just kind of agreed because they had filled my spot on the truck that I was running. So here's the reality though. This is the part I want to get to. And you guys wonder why, like, I'm crazy and I'm messed up and I'm just like schizophrenic and just go 100 miles an hour. And I'm not a small talk guy typically. Like, I'll small talk with you because that's what you're supposed to do. It's people skills. How you doing? How's this? How's that? But dude, let's get moving, right? Like, I know you're a good person. I'm a good person. We're talking the same stuff. We're in the same thing. Let's get into the thick. Let's get into the meat. That's the fun stuff we want to talk about, right? So like, I'm not a big small talking kind of guy. I'm not even really a talking kind of guy, if you guys know me. Ironically enough, I have a podcast and a YouTube channel, but I'm not that because I'm just an observer. But, I got started 18, 19, 20, and I got started in the trailer parks of Michigan, right? Like I'm cutting lawns where I grew up, single, double wide trailer. And you guys have heard me say the joke that that just meant to the single wide people that we were rich. And if you lived in a trailer park, like that is like the gospel. It's not a joke. Like literally, you guys were the wealthy people, right? Hey, we're going to go hang out at their house. They have air conditioning and a big fridge, right? So here's the thing. And this is, you got to give me some latitude as we talk about this, right? Because I got started in these trailer parks. And in these trailer parks, I had customers that literally messed me up. Okay. I had customers that, I say this in the nicest way, they had like sometimes the lowest amount of income, but they wanted the most amount of work. They stretched everything. Not everyone, but a lot of my customers, right? They wanted me to knock down the weeds. They wanted me to edge. They wanted me to do this for free. Everything was for free or cheaper, or they talked me down, right? They wanted their leaves bagged. I didn't have a bagger, so I went and bought a little bagger, and then they would complain how I did on the bagging, right? Double cutting. I mean, every customer, hey, don't forget the double cut. You know, it looks a little wispy. And I'm like, sure, no problem. And I'm 20. I'm 19. I'm appeasing people. I have a low self-image. I'm a loser. I don't know what's going on in life, right? I wasn't a loser. Nobody had told me yet that I was a winner. And so I'm mowing lawns. I'm on pins and needles with these people all freaking day. They told me to come on a certain day, right? I'm cutting lawns, and I'm like, hey, like normally we're over here on, Wednesdays is like the best day for me. And they go, yeah, well, I want to cut on Friday. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. And I'm like, dude, I don't have any more room on Friday, but what do you do? Oh, I'm going to cut your lawn on Friday. My prices back then were $13 or $15 for a trailer park. Hey, honey, I'm on a fixed income, $15. Well, the last guy was doing it for 10. And I'm like, oh my God, am I a bad person for charging this, veteran, this fixed income, retiree? Am I, this guy, his car, just broke down. Like I can see that it's broke down. He's got 2 flat tires on his car in the driveway. And here I am charging him 15 instead of 10. I'm the bad person. The reason he doesn't have 2 new tires on his car is because I'm charging him 15 and not 10. And I'm taking all of his money, right? Like that's how I thought. I mean, let me keep going, right? I want to show you guys how messed up I was and why it affected my self-image for so long. Using a bigger mower. I eventually had like bigger mowers. I had customers tell me, don't use those big mowers. I want my lawn push mowed. Well, I didn't have a push mower, so I had to go buy a push mow. I had a customer that we finally upgraded to a 32-inch Metro walk behind, and then I had my big zero turn. My big zero turn wouldn't fit on her property because these are trailer park lawns. Sometimes they didn't fit. But my 32 or 36-inch Metro my Metro X-Mark Metro would fit on her property, right? So I remember pulling off one day. I was mowing her lawn. I'm like, ooh, dude, like 33-inch, push mower Metro. This thing's a beast. We had it for our gated backyards before I dropped those people along the way. And she goes, what are you doing with that thing? And I'm like, it's just a 33. You didn't want the big mower. I get it, but I got my 30. She goes, I said no big mowers. I'm like, it's not a big mower. It's a little mower. But I'm like, yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Right. Because I'm 20 and I'm trying to hustle, right? Trying to like make a name for myself and do the right thing, which I should be, right? I'm not trying to be a butt. Let's get to the meat, right? So what do? I have to go buy a push mower to push mow this lady's lawn. So I spent $300 on a whatever little Troy built mower from Home Depot to push mow this one account that was paying me $12 a week because she couldn't afford 14. I'm like, dude, $8 a month is what I was debating and arguing people in these mobile home parks sometimes for. And they're not bad people. Like I'm not throwing them all, lumping them all together. That's not the point. Like we grew up in a trailer park. There's trailer park people and then there's people that live in a trailer, right? And it's not an indictment against anybody on a trailer, right? Like that's not the point of this story. The point of the story is that the customers I was working for and the self-image that I had built, the foundation that I had built it on was these customers and their expectations, right? And then I had also worked in fast food, and I'm getting screamed at, people yelling at me, these breadsticks aren't cooked good enough, this pizza is cold, the pizza's not even cut through all the way, I didn't get my sauce. I'm like, I gave you sauce. Well, you didn't give me sauce. I gave you sauce. Well, give me some sauce or I'm going to call the store and complain. Okay, well, here's some sauce. And you know what? Actually, you inconvenienced me, so give me the sauce, and I want a 20-ounce Mountain Dew. Okay. So, I just don't want a customer complaint, because if I got more than 1 or 2 customer complaints, right, I would get rid up or I'd get fired from my job, and I couldn't get fired from my job. So I'm just like getting just smushed by people and smushed by life. I couldn't stand up for myself. I didn't know I was supposed to stand up for myself. I didn't have a self-image. I didn't have a good self-image, right? These customers are like, use a big mower, use a smaller mower, right? Then they would also say, don't weed whack against the skirting, because we would ding or dent the skirting. So if you ever look at a mobile home or a trailer, they got the metal skirting on the bottom. And that stuff is expensive. You know, it was expensive back then. I'm sure it's even more expensive now. Just to put the metal skirting around the bottom of a trailer can be a couple of $1,000. Well, the grass feathers in between the cracks of the skirting. It's not like a straight line. It's feathered every 5 inches. There's a little dimple, right? So where's the grass grow? Of course, along the front panel of the skirting, but also into those little divots. Well, how do you got to get that little grass in there? You got to throttle the trigger, create that little air vacuum, kind of pull it out, and suck it out to make sure that it's clean. You want that straight, even line. Why is my trimming, I feel like I do a good job trimming. Been doing it for 20 years. Hopefully I do. Is because I had to learn how to trim against the gnarliest of obstacles like trailer skirting. And if we would dent or ding the skirting in any way, shape, or form, people would come out, they would freak out. These were these 50-year-old people screaming at me. They would hear, imagine being inside a trailer and somebody's weed whipping your lawn. It's not like outside of a normal subdivision home, like a regular home, where you would hear just the gas motor going, right? So that's not how it works. When you're inside a mobile home, you would hear, because it would be trimming against the sheet metal or the metal of the skirting. Right. So these people are on you. And if it's a certain level of frequency of sound, they know that it's just kind of whipping against, just wisping against. But if you had any, like hardcore metal scraping, it's a different sound. It's more depth. So people would know, like, as soon as you went too hard on that skirting, people would walk out and they would chew me out. So imagine my schizophrenia. Imagine how crazy I am. Like, the reason I messed up is because I've, probably spent 15 years in the sun, but this is how I got started in business for myself, was appeasing the hardest customers to deal with on the whole freaking planet. But it also made me very aware, hyper aware of everything that I do. Same thing outside of the skirting, by the way, was the plastic siding. So if you ever look at new mobile homes, a lot of the times the vinyl siding now goes all the way to the base. And the only thing worse than trimming against skirting is trimming against vinyl siding. Some of you guys listening in, you might be chuckling right now. 10% of you that have some mobile home parks or trailer park lawns, right? You know this exact story, these exact customers and these exact people, and also these exact circumstances, right? I would trim against the vinyl siding and a trimmer string would go right through that stuff. It would shred, it would tear up, and it goes all the way to the ground. It would just kind of rest on the ground. And, it didn't matter how good you were with a trimmer, it's going to get nicked. And then eventually it gets nicked and people come out and they scream at you. They scream bloody murder at you about their vinyl siding. Why wouldn't they? You're kind of messing up their house. But at the same point, what can you do? The grass grows against the house. And nobody would ever put bricks around it. Nobody put mulch around it. Nobody put any pea gravel around it. So it would just get nicked up. And I'd have people just screaming bloody murder. You need to replace my skirting and my siding. So imagine this foundation that I have. I go out of there and I navigate into the subdivision, right? It's like I'm out of Fern Gully over here and I'm going into like the great unknown, the abyss. And I'm learning all these new things. There's new subdivisions and there's new roads and there's new highways and there's new areas. I had never even been to my local mall until I was literally like 19 or 20 years old. The local mall. I had never been there until I was 20 years old. I didn't know where Abercrombie and Fitch came from. I didn't know this is where people got Hollister, Abercrombie and Fitch, Nordstrom. What's a Nordstrom? And then Macy's. What's Macy's? I don't even know what Macy's is. Like, Macy's. Oh, yeah. Macy's. Of course. I don't even know what Macy's is, right? And so my world was just small and it was different. And so my self-image, right? Like this crazy compact layers of this fabric that I had built my foundation on, right? It was compacted, tight knit layers of just me being on pins and needles with customer service and my business, right? My self-image, it was just torn apart, right? Not only did I have everybody tearing me down, I didn't really have anybody building me up. So let's go back. Next 10, 15 years, what do? I pour into myself. I learn things. I'm watching things. I'm reading things. I'm studying things. I'm a people watcher. I'm a people person. We go back to this present day, 2021, May 15th, May 20th, whatever it is. I have this conversation with a customer. Hey, can you cut my lawn? And I said, sure. absolutely, we can cut your lawn. He goes, well, how much? And I said, $40. Now, mind you, my weekly prices went from 22s and to 25s, 25s to 30s, 30s to 34s, 34s to 37s in this last year. And this new year, this year right now, I said our price is going to be $37 is our new weekly sign up. Now, and I know, again, got to do a little asterisk here. We get new listeners to the show every day. Sometimes I'm a butthead. Sometimes we got a guest interview. Sometimes we're just keeping it light. Today, you never know what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? Well, today I'm doing this episode, and it was $37 was our new weekly price, right? We were getting all of our rates up and charging more. Customer shows up and he goes, how much? I said, $40. And he goes, $40? I said, yeah, like take it or leave it. And I'm not being a tough guy. And I didn't say that to him, but in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, look, bro, I've got enough money coming in from so many different things. I don't need to be doing this. And I don't even want to be dealing with you. I don't like people. I don't like dealing with people. I'm an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. Like, leave me alone. The less people I have to talk to, sometimes the better. Like, I know it sounds weird, but half of you listening in are like that. That's why we listen to our headphones all day and we just listen to music. And so I'm thinking to myself, these million thoughts that go through my brain, like a lot of you guys. He's like, $40. I go, yeah. And so he goes, all right. He goes, how do I sign up? And I'm thinking to myself, what did you just say? You said yes to $40. And I know some of you guys, like I said, get 65, 50s and 30s and 90s. Everybody, every region, everything is different, right? Around here, $30, $35 a lawn is really good. I mean, it just is. I think it sucks that it's not 50 and we're getting there. We'll work on it. I'm trying to help all my guys in the area. We're learning. We're blah, 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 blah. Talk about that on all the other episodes, right? But the guy said yes. And what did we do? We broke the 4-minute mile with my pricing for our lawn service. It took a long time to get my first $40 cut. And it's not like this grandiose. That's not the point. The point is, my self-image broke the 4-minute mile, right? My self-image has been breaking these barriers to my life and to my business and my self-image. I've been breaking down these barriers every freaking day, every freaking week. Because, by the way, 2 months ago, we got our first cut at $37. And I went, $37 to cut your lawn? Folks, you got to the irony is, like, I can put my hand on a gob of cash in the checking account. I'm like, I don't even need to do this. Like, I really loved it. And it's not because of YouTube. We've been sitting on cash the last couple of years, not doing anything. We don't do anything. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't need 37. I don't even need 40, right? Just like a lot of you guys, like, you get 10, 15 years into this thing and now you're working because you want to, not because you have to. And I get home, I tell my wife, Liz, I go, we got a lawn for $37. $37? If you would have told me that I would have cut a lawn back in the trailer park days, I would have got $37 for 15 or 20 minutes of work. Are you freaking kidding me? Right? And so, enter your magical number there. You get a landscape job for 10 grand, you net $4,000, it takes you 4 days. And you're like, can you believe we made $4,000 in 4 days? Like, that's insane. Yeah. So like, it's all relative, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that's insane. So then, 2 weeks or 2 months later, I get a lawn cut for $40. And I'm like, $40? Holy freaking crap. $40? That's insane. Okay, it's insane. That's incredible. And so my self-image, right? I'm creating this new identity in my brain is what my point is. I've created a new identity of who I was and who I am. And that changes every day, every week, every month, every year. And so should your guys's, right? Outside of the public service announcement of talking about humility and humbleness, right? That is the precursor to what I'm talking about right now. So don't get it twisted, as the kids say. The reality is, though, is that I am a very competent person. I know what to do. I know I can help you. I know I can add value to you. And I know that I can take care of your property, your lawn, or most of your problems or needs on the outside of your home with lawn care and landscaping. And so when I told this guy $40, we crossed this barrier, this new identity that formed. Now what's the new floor, the new minimum? $40, right? I realized I was able to add value to this gentleman, right? I was able to solve his problems, and I was able to charge an appropriate rate for that. Here's what I also had to do at the exact same time that I was creating my new identity. I had to shed my old identity. I had to shed my previous expectations, right? I had to not just say $37. I had to push the needle forward because we should be at 40. We should be at 45 for a weekly cut. And we're getting there. Next year, Just watch. I have a couple people cancel. I'll tell you that, because here's why.
Oops. Nearly spilled my tea. That wouldn't be good, would it? Mr. Producer said to tell you that the show continues after a word from our sponsor.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, and much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Check out Ballard-Inc.com to help dominate and elevate your business. Ballard Innovative Products. With over 20 years of selling accessories and 30 years in the business, we're sure that we've got something you can't live without. We appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season. Stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at Ballard-Inc.com. You know why your back hurts and your posture sucks? Because you don't have Darwin's grip for your trimmer. Now you can stand up straight, reducing fatigue and strains, and even achieve precise trimming by getting you closer to the line. Save 10% with Brian's 10 at darwinsgrip.com.
This exact same thing happened 2 weeks ago where I didn't shed my identity and I didn't stand up for myself. As much as your boy's a hero, and I'm like, dude, I just nailed a $40 cut, which again, by the way, enter your number there. You always used to get 60s and you told a guy 80 and you got 80 and you're like, holy crap, dude, I'm getting $80. Exactly. 2 weeks ago, well, actually it'll be about a month ago at the time of this recording. First part of May, customer calls me back. He's a customer of mine. Let's just say his name is Bob, because everybody's Bob. His actual name is Bob, which is ironic. But, you know, you guys never know that. I always say, like, hey, let's just use their name as Jeff. You don't know that their actual name is Jeff, but because I use a fake name as Jeff, you think, oh, his name is probably Tom, but Brian's calling him Jeff. So you really don't know if his name is Tom or Jeff. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's always funny listening to the podcast. So, like, let's just call him Bob. His actual name is Bob. So anyway, I'm just being a butthead. So this guy, his name is Bob, and Bob says to me, calls me up, and he goes, hey, are you still mowing grass? And I'm like, Bob, we've been doing this for 15 years, bro. Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, we're still mowing grass, dude. I actually sent you my letter, sent you my rate adjustment letter, and even called you to confirm service, you know, mid-April, because I'm like, hey, the grass is growing early this season. We're going to be out there. So I know that he got all my correspondence, right? Emails, calls, you know, in the letter. We cut 3 weeks of April. Grass is growing like crazy. It's spring growing conditions. Grass is, you know, an uncut lawn at this point is already 8 to 10 inches tall, right? So homie calls me up first part of May. Hey, he calls me on a Tuesday. We were a day behind. So we were, he's a Tuesday cut. We were actually cutting on Wednesday. We were a day behind. So he calls me on Wednesday, which by the way, it was already after the next week of what we should have been, you know, mowing his lawn. So he's like 3 to 4 weeks behind. Intentionally calls me on a Wednesday. He's a Tuesday cut, hoping I come a week later, right? And he goes, and this just gets me so mad right now. This is just real talk. He goes, hey, you still cutting lawns? I go, yeah, Bob. And he goes, oh, well, grass is growing like crazy. We need you over here to get going. I go, well, it's been 3 to 4 weeks. We've already been out here. Where have you been? And I basically say it like that. I don't say it like exactly like that, but I go, yeah, dude, we've been out for 3 or 4 weeks. We sent you the letter. We sent you the email and the confirmation phone call. Didn't hear a peep out of you. So we're already rocking and rolling. I guess we could still squeeze you in if you need it. He goes, yeah. He goes, I definitely need it. The lawn's 8 inches tall, which I know it is because we drive by it every day when we're in the subdivision. And so I go, Bob, it's going to be this new price, which was $34 instead of $30. Because we did a rate adjustment. How much should you adjust your rates per year? I don't know. I don't care. You guys figure it out. $2, $5, $10. Just adjust them and grow the rates. Because little timely fashion here. $6 trillion is getting proposed by the current administration for budget spending. Dude, it's just insane. It's just insane. I'm not going to say go buy crypto, but you know what I'm saying. Just insane. Nobody's ever spent 50% of the freaking GDP, okay, per year. And that's not going to get throttled back, okay? Just insane. You think lawn care prices are 30, 40, $50 now and they're growing 5, 10, 20% year over year. Wait till $6 trillion gets dumped into the economy. A $35, $40 weekly mow right now will be $60, $70 here in 2 years if that kind of stuff happens, because gas is going to be $8 a gallon. Okay, it's just literally insane. So Don't be telling your customers, hey, we're going to do a rate adjustment this year, but there won't be any rate adjustment next year because you think it's going to appease them or they're going to not cancel you. Don't have those kind of that language out there because you cannot guarantee or predict what things are going to be doing next year, right? So anyway, so the guy goes from his price from $30 to $34, and here's what he said to me. And you know, people are just people, right? And imagine the customers that I got started with from the trailer park, right? So I already see it coming. Okay, like I'm on the pins and needles. I'm very quick-witted. I'm just sharp. I needed to be. It was survival. My first like decade in business, let alone my first year dealing with these trailer park customers. They messed me up bad. So he goes, you know, Brian, I got to be honest with you. I almost had to catch myself as I was falling back, as I was rocking back in my shoes after I opened up your letter and saw that rate increasement of $4. He goes, I got to be honest with you, Brian. That's a little excessive, and I've never seen that before in my life. I've never seen a business charge me that much more for something that I was doing last year compared to this year. That's what he said. Like as dramatic as I just said that. I said, well, Bob, I said, it's a $4 a week rate increase. I said, your lawn care price went up 11%. I said, Bob, I understand if you're paying for a $10,000 or $100,000 car and it went up 11% and it's now 10% more. I said, Bob, I understand if you're building a $1 million home and it went up 10% or 11% and you're spending $100,000 more on wood and supplies. I totally understand. I said, Bob, we're talking $4 a week for your lawn to be cut. That's the price of your coffee habit per day. I said, you're really going to talk to me right now about $4 for a weekly cut price increase, $16 a month? I said, Bob, that's a little shocking to me. I said, that's interesting because everything's interesting. I always finish anything up with interesting. That's interesting. And he goes, yeah, Brian. He goes, I got to be honest. He goes, we need the lawn cut. It's 8 inches tall. I already know this. He goes, but if I see this again next year, we're gonna have to really evaluate some things. And you know what I should have did, and you guys already know what's gonna happen, right? I should have said, you know, Bob, we don't really need your business. We don't really need it. You know, God bless you. I understand, and you don't have to be a jerk or a butthead, right? We're talking in the context of humility here, okay? I'm just being facetious and a little bit of a butt to make the point. I said, excuse me. I said, Bob, no problem. I totally understand where you're coming from. Honestly, I feel the same way. Felt found. And Bob, you know what I found is that I'm not really making any more money on this. Just covering my rates for my guys, and gas prices, labor prices, taxes, the whole deal, right? So I said, so what did I do? I actually kind of cowered it down. I didn't stand up for myself. And I was really shocked at the way because I'm actually a very nice person. I'm a very cordial person. I enjoy conflict, but at the same time, I enjoy avoiding conflict, right? Because a conflict to me just brings out who you are as a person, right? I'm always like interested to see how people react and respond. So I enjoy conflict. I like seeing conflict because you learn from conflict, right? If you avoid it your whole life and you never bow up, own up, man up, learn up, study up, have to think through, you never really grow, right? So the point is, I kind of like cowered it down. It kind of like triggered me back to this flashback of me working in the trailer parks at 20 years old and people screaming at me, bloody murder. I mean, screaming, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to put you out of business. I had one guy, I trimmed against the siding and we hit a dog. I was mowing against his house and we hit a dog leash thing, a little spiral screw thing, right? And we just lopped it. And it ejected a piece of it into his skirting. So there was a nickel size, quarter size hole in his skirting. Super, unfortunate thing. But here's the thing. It was never there before. They had just got a new dog, put in a new stake. We have taken this turn around his house, 200 times, whatever, over the last, 5 years. We were mowing lawns as a kid. And I told him, I said, that's not my fault. I said, you could have wrecked my mower. You could have wrecked the blade. You could have wrecked the spindle. I said, I'll put some silicone caulk in there and fix that, or get a piece of trim, gray trim, and fix that on your house and your skirting, because there's a supply yard down the road for mobile park repairs. I said, I'll fix that or do this. He goes, no, I want all the siding and all the skirting redone. All the siding redone. It was, top to the ground of siding. I said, that's not happening. He goes, you have two choices. Pay the $500 for my home deductible and pay to have all my siding redone because I don't want a piece of gray trim not matching my other gray trim, which, by the way, it would have matched out perfectly. It was a newer trailer. they make all this stuff that the color matches. He said, either you replace all my siding or I'm going to put you out of business. I'm going to tell the park. I'm going to tell the park management. I know all those people. Now, this guy's 45. I'm 20. I don't know. I don't know anything about anything. I got no resources. I can't talk tough. I'll sue you. I'll sue you back. Like, nowadays, that's what I would say. I had no resources, no clout, no nothing to stand on. I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get sued. I've heard of this word sued. I don't want to get sued. I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna get just destroyed. I literally thought I'd be ostracized from the community, right? Like I didn't know. Like I know it sounds kind of messed up, but some of you guys might be able to relate to this stuff. It just shows like how messed up I was as a small entrepreneur and a business owner, learning from wrong people and stupid stuff, and had no association, no networks to plug into to like lean on and glean info from, and no accountability. I didn't have a friend or a mentor to just say, hey, dude, I had a bad day. Like, what would you have done? And for them to say, dude, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Life goes on. You got this, bro. Like, just get back up on the horse. I didn't have any of that. So I'm just getting knocked off the horse for a freaking decade. And so I don't know why I put myself on YouTube, 5 years ago, start reviewing mowers, but I'm coming, on fumes. I was a dry sponge, man, just waiting to soak it all up, right? I was this pallet of TNT, and I just needed a match to get flicked into this thing, and I just exploded. And I told you guys once on a podcast, I was driving down the road, and I was like, just had a pity party, woe is me party, and I was driving down to my mom's house. I was turning right on Old Plank Road, know exactly where it was yesterday, and I'm actually talking out loud in my car. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been there, man. And I could choke up on this one because I'm just like, dude, this is bullshit. Everything is bullshit right now. Like my life sucks. I'm 30. I was just about to turn 30. I'm not making any money. I'm not happy. I got this girl. She's beautiful. She wants nice things. I want to take care of her. I found the love of my life. I think this is the one. And I'm just talking out loud. And I'm a Christian, so I'm just talking out loud. I'm praying, I'm talking, I'm praying. Praying is just talking, praying is saying. I'm just walking in the Lord, in a prayer walk while I'm driving, if you would. I'm just talking. I'm like thinking. I'm thinking out loud. I'm like, what the heck, man? What do I do? How do I do life? All this stuff. And I was just bitching, dude. I was just complaining. And I just wasn't owning it. And I'm 29 going on like 17. Mentally, maturity, ownership wise. Right? Just passing the buck. I had no idea what I was doing. And so I make this right-hand turn going northbound on Old Plank Road. A lot of you guys know where it's at that live here local, that listen to the podcast. So I grew up down in Childs Lake Estates. And as I'm hooking right to go onto Old Plank Road, I'm just like talking out loud and complaining. And I just hear like out of like the depths of my insides that I have never heard, never seen, never felt like this ever before, never since, I scream at the top of my lungs, well, fight back. Well, fight back. And that was it. And I go, what the hell was that? And I still believe to this day, it's the Holy Spirit, inside of me that was sick and tired of me just whining and complaining and just being a victim. And I'm thinking to myself, well, fight back. Well, fight back. Imagine that, like fight back. Put my flag in the ground. Take a stand, right? All this motivational stuff that you could ensue that came after that, right? Fight back. I'll never forget that. It was like a weird out-of-body thing, but I know it was the Holy Spirit telling me to fight back, okay? Everything around you sucks. Fix it, is basically what he said. I'm like, all right, okay. So go back to the skirting guy. This was a decade ago this story happened. And I just remember telling that guy, like, he just messed me up. And what I told him, I basically told that guy way back in the day to screw off. He like wanted me to tar his roof, tar his sunlights, and trade the work for a siding. And I'm like, I'm not giving you $500. And it was like a whole thing that like just messed me up. So let's take it back to the $40 lawn care guy. He stops by, hey, how much for the cut? I said, yeah, $40. And why? I had this new identity that I have been forming these last few years, the last few months, the last few weeks. And by the way, every single day, like I was talking about earlier, who I am today, rooted in humility, rooted in humbleness, just like you guys. Don't let people talk to you that in a certain way that you would have accepted a year ago, 2 years, or 5 years ago. You're not the same person. For your work, for you as a person, we've all been working on ourselves, get paid for it, right? Don't let people talk down to you. Don't let people tell you what to do. All this kind, like, stand up, fight back for who you are and what you guys were doing. Imagine if I still had that self-image, right, of who I was 10, 15 years ago operating today. I would be I'm rolling my eyes right now and I'm like rubbing my eyes because I'm just thinking to myself, like, how ineffective I would be as a human being if I would have let that trajectory keep on with, like, not fighting back, not stepping up, not owning it, not learning things, not being confident or comfortable about who I am or what I can do. Right? You guys kind of know that. Like you get on like a lifeboat, and there's always that one leader out of 40 people on the lifeboat, and there's 39 followers. Right? Like I was just a sheep. I was just a low self-image person, and it had messed up my identity so bad. So I had to form a new identity. I had to craft a new identity. I had to paint this picture of who I wanted to grow up and grow into and become. Right? Like, a lot of us, we set goals for our business, but a lot of us also do not set goals for ourselves professionally, self-image wise. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to emulate? Who do you want to turn and grow into? You don't just happen chance turn into a Troy Clark or a Corey Ballard or a Paver Pete or Caleb and Brittany Allman. That's effort. Right? A lot of us, we're just going through the motions, and we hope to wind up somewhere instead of emulate somebody and work our way backwards and then work our way forwards to that person. Right? Like, I want to be somebody that people can count on, that somebody can lean on, that when you guys listen to a podcast, you get inspired, fired up, motivated, and learn a nugget. I want people to be able to lean on to me. I didn't know I was capable of running a 200 to 300, 400, 500 person live event, right, in November. 5 years ago, nobody listening to this knew who I was, right? 5 years later, we have 150,000 subscribers on YouTube, 210,000 people watching us, a couple million people watching the whole channel every month, 50,000 downloads a month on the podcast. 500 people show up to our live event in November. 300 people show up at Xmark's booth for an hour and a half at a GIE Plus Expo. Not that I'm a hero, but I wanted to be somebody that could help you out. And I had to get myself right. I had to get my self-image right. I was so motivated to just be an effective human being. I wanted to have other people be able to rely on me and my family. I wanted to make money, not to make the money. I wanted to make money to have the choices to be able to help people. This was this identity that I wanted to craft for myself. And by the way, some of you guys have been bestowed upon you a wrong identity from parents, from families, from expectations or college or people or just offhand comments or, people that just passerbys. Something gets into your headspace, and for 15 years, you're operating on some bad software that was put into your brain at a young age, like me back in the trailer park when I was 19, 20 years old, working for people that had the most unrealistic expectations of what $12 will get you in our industry. And it messed me up, dude, for a decade, for 15 years. Now, I understand that not everybody's going to have to deal with this kind of crap. I get it. Not everybody's what do they say, a basket case, right? Not everybody's gotta open themselves up, fix everything, and then stitch themselves back together. I get it. Maybe there's some things you don't have to worry about and some things you do, but maybe you didn't have to worry about all the crap that I had to put back together, right? I get it. And if that's the case, man, you better be eminently more successful sooner than what my story was or the next guy's story was, because you have less excuses. But for some of you that came, so far back, I just want to give you some encouragement that you can create and fashion and craft a new identity for you, your company, your business, your self-image, and who you are as a freaking human being. It is wide open. And a lot of us, we're crafting the business all day, but we're not crafting ourselves, or we're not being intentional about working on ourselves, right? Self-help is an active thing. It's not something you passively do. I've said this on podcasts before. If there's, I have people I talk to and they're like, man, my anxiety gets the best of me. Stop letting it get the best of you. Easy for me to say. I get it. But I'll tell you what, there's inadequacies I have that I had to stop letting those vices, those controls, those things, those whatevers control me. I understand some things you can't control. Like, hear what I'm trying to say. I'm not putting down anxiety, but stop basing your identity around the fact that you have anxiety, and that's what's keeping you paralyzed with fear about why you don't move on or make progress on a certain thing. Some people are more interested in projecting and letting people know that the reason they haven't done something is because of X, Y, P, CDQ, or anxiety, or whatever their thing is. So you're more interested in telling people why you have built this alibi about why you're not accomplishing because I have, pick your thing. I can't succeed because I've got kids. I can't this because I've got anxiety, and I can't pick up the phone because it feels like concrete, and I can't call that commercial client back. Dude, come on. I've been there too. You know what the cure for that is? Action. I understand you have anxiety. Action. I understand you have fear. Action. I understand you don't know how to pressure wash something. Action. I understand you don't know how to use a commercial lawnmower. Take action. Right? Like, create a new identity. I wasn't going to be the person that let excuses control and run my life. Why? Because I had to fight back. Because I had already let myself wet on myself for 15 years. And what the reality of my life was I had no money, no influence, no power, no nothing, right? I was just existing. Like, if I died, nobody would really care other than my immediate family. What kind of a legacy was that? Craft a new identity for yourself that says, I've got anxiety, but I am greater than that anxiety because of me and the person who lives within me. Okay. Don't let anxiety control you. Don't let certain things, I don't know why I get on anxiety. Maybe someone needs to hear this one, but don't let that run your life and run your self-image and this identity you have about yourself that I can't make anything happen because I have anxiety. No. Your new identity is, even though I have anxiety, I'm still going to be successful and I'm still going to move the needle forward. In fact, it's because I have anxiety that I am going to craft this new identity about myself, and I am going to just make little progress, chip away at it. I'm going to work with anxiety. I'm going to work with it on its terms and my terms, and we're going to figure this out. I know when I can make calls. I know when I can do certain things. I know I'm going to work through it. I'm going to figure it out. But I'm not just going to carte blanche, throw my hands up and say, can't do it. Can't do it because of whatever vice, I did a podcast talk about reasons or excuses. These are all reasons or they're all excuses, right? The guy with anxiety, it's an excuse. Another guy says, because I have anxiety, I'm going to go do something. And that's his reason to succeed. You know, I was listening to like Paul Jameson's podcast. I love listening to Paul and so many different people. Corey, Green Grind podcast. I mean, you name one, you got to name them all, right? All my friends out there, they've got other great content inside our space or outside of our space, right? And I was listening to Paul Jameson, and it was just a fun, quick episode. He was talking about power washing, and he was talking about how he was pressure washing a house, and he had never really power washed anything before. And not that I'm the guru of power washing. I don't power wash. But he was like taking a stab at it. He was learning because a customer asked him to do it. It was new, so he was nervous, but also excited. And he was power washing a wall or like a walkway, and things were going really well. And then he went to power wash a window, like in the corners where all the spider webs and the gunk and the mold are, right? And I don't know anything about power washing, so forgive me. But some way, shape, or form, he pressure washed the window, and the nozzle he was using just blew out the pane or sliced the window or cracked the window and basically took out a window, right? And that was a traumatic experience for him. And Paul even talks about it on his podcast. I'm not psychoanalyzing any of you guys or Paul, it's just a good case study. Like, it's a real-time example. Paul was like, oh man, I hung up the pressure washing, wand for the next decade. Paul didn't offer power washing because customer was like freaking out and he didn't know what to do with the window and it was new. And so Paul had this traumatic experience at a young age, whether it was 22 or 32, it didn't matter like his age on earth, but his self-image was fear, rejection, afraid, damage, catastrophe. What do I do? And so he just got claustrophobic in his mentality, his self-image, and just said, you know what? I'm not doing it. Now, fast forward 10 years later, Paul's taking another stab at it and goes, you know what? I made a bonehead mistake. It was actually like not that bad of what I actually did, but because the circumstance and the issue and the error was so dramatic at such a young age, such a formative year of his life and business, it was like this glaring dark cloud over him for a decade that he never faced. And so when he does a power washing job a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about on his podcast, love listening to Paul, the Green Industry podcast there. he was talking about how he's power washing and pressure washing again and how much he really enjoys it. And he had avoided something that he enjoys doing for almost a decade because it scared the hell out of him. His self-image, his identity was, I don't do power washing because he damaged something. We've all damaged something, by the way. It's okay, right? I've taken out windows. It sucks, but life will go on. And so imagine the joy, the possibility, the economic opportunity that Paul would have had if he had just did another power washing job a week later and overcome that fear. And Paul would probably tell you it's a small regret. Who cares, right? Life goes on. But he probably would say it's a small regret that he had that he just didn't pick up the power washing one, the pressure washing, machine and do the next job the next week, learn from that mistake, build upon it, and life goes on. And he would have this different identity of being somebody who could offer power washing versus having this dark cloud over him identity for 10 years, not offering that service because he had this traumatic experience of breaking a window. All right, so here's my point. One last thing I want to say is, I used to play roller hockey back in the day, and I loved playing roller hockey. I love roller hockey like you wouldn't believe. I'm not into a lot of things, but I love roller hockey. I had some Oxygen K2s, I was rollerblading, had all the great hockey sticks, the Cohos. We had to play it against sports. I used nothing I had was ever new in life ever until like I was 20, 21, 22. Except I had a pair of Oxygen rollerblades. I had my brand new sticks and my Coho gloves or whatever they were. My hockey gloves. I had my gloves, my stick, and then we had our blades. We had shin guards and all that stuff, but those were used. I had a helmet, but that was used. So these were like my prized possessions, right? And I remember playing on teams where I just kind of stumbled into it. I went with a friend. His name was Dustin. We went to a roller rink area called with the YMCA. There was an outdoor league he was in. And for some way, shape, or form, they were down a person. I don't know if it was on that team I played or against my friend on the opposing team, but somehow they needed another person or another kid. I was, 12, 13, 14 years old. Never played roller hockey, never played anything other than basketball in the driveway or baseball in the backyard. And I had played roller hockey that day with the kids. Somehow they found me a pair of blades, they found me a stick, they found me some gloves and some shin guards. And I swear to God, dude, out of nowhere, I'm watching my friend who's been playing roller hockey for a couple of weeks, couple of months. And they're like, hey, we need another person. You want to play? And I'm like, is it legal? You don't ask those questions at 12, what do you know? But somehow I got strapped up and I'm playing roller hockey 30 minutes into watching my friend. I'm like, well, this is a turn of events. Find out I actually love it, right? I started crushing it. I was fast. My little nickname was Fedorov, right? Because I wasn't going to be the captain. I liked to score. And then, just I had good puck handling. So my little nickname on the team became Fedorov because back in, 97, 98, whatever, the Red Wings were just smoking everybody, right? Back-to-back Stanley Cups, whatever it was. So I had this new identity that got bestowed upon me as a little kid as Fedorov playing roller hockey, and I was awesome. The problem, right, is that my team sucked. Right? I'm the newest guy on the team. The team literally sucked. Now they're all 12. Everybody at 12 sucks, but you guys know what I'm saying. And I got to point to this little fun analogy. What happened was I moved up. We were playing. I think I finished out that season with my friend's team. After that game, I joined on with my friend's team. We scraped together the $60 of annual dues to play in the YMCA. Went to roller hockey with my friend and his mom. They would drive us to roller hockey. My younger brother got involved in roller hockey. We would play roller hockey. We were the tag team duo. We would play on a team. My brother and I, it was Eisman and Fedorov, right? We were this tag team duo. Well, we got on some better teams, right? The year you come back, kids grow up, the skill set gets better, the whole deal, right? So we're playing with a better team, and my self-image went through the roof because we had people that were competent, people that were great. We had better little arenas that we went in because they got better funding. We were playing on better parking lots, better courses, everything was just a lot better, and I was playing with a better team of people, so my game went through the roof, right? My brother, his game went through the roof. The self-image that I had before with the previous team was with a bunch of great kids. They're all 12-year-olds, but their commitment was only so much. Let's just be nice, right? They're kids. I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying. my self-image went through the roof because I was playing with winners, right? The year before, my self-image was still decent, but I was playing with a bunch of not committed kids. Can't say losers, but like not committed kids, right? So imagine like you're in business for yourself, and when you're first getting started, your customers, I don't want to say this like tactfully, but I don't give a crap. Your first customers are usually a bunch of losers, right? They want the highest expectations for the lowest price. They're putting you through the ringer. They're just demanding everything. They're crazy. They just want all this stuff for free. You don't even know you're getting taken advantage of, and you're getting taken advantage of. And what happens to your self-image? You feel like a loser. Then you start growing up. You start getting more. And there's the whole story here, right? There's a story in between there. But then you grow up, you get good guys working with you and for you. You get good equipment with you and for you. You're rocking and rolling. You got 2, 4, 5, 10 years into this thing, and you start crushing it. And your self-image goes through the roof. And then what happens with your clientele? You start attracting and also taking on good customers. Your team, the people that you're working for and that are working with you, right? Your self-image goes through the roof. You start attracting good customers. Your customers start referring to you to other good customers. You're not dealing with these scrappy people out there in life that are just pegging you down and just tearing you apart. Why? Your self-image, your identity has changed. Your identity, it's more fun when you work with a team of people that get it. It's more fun when you deal with customers who appreciate you. It was more fun when I was playing roller hockey with people who were freaking committed to the game and actually like wanted to practice versus a bunch of other like kids that were just, hey, I gotta play in something because my mom told me I gotta get off the house, get out of the house and stop playing N64. Right? My identity had changed. My identity had improved, and the people and the surroundings had also improved. Right? The point of this whole podcast, a lot of words, right? The point of this whole podcast is I want you guys to grow your identity, to create a new identity, to continue to work on your identity. When you do that, one thing you also have to do is shed your old identity, right? You look at a snake out there. We've all seen them. I hate snakes, by the way. We're trimming grass and some snake, but you see like the old snake skin, right? It shed its old self. It's got to renew. And for us as business owners and entrepreneurs and providers, guy or girl listening to this, I want you guys to grow your identity. Who you are today is not who you were 60 minutes ago listening to this episode. You are emboldened. You are strengthened. You have a better self-image. You've just poured into yourself. And now that customer, they need to pay more money for who you are because you are that much better of a person. Micro little improvements, micro little pennies. That stuff adds up. And so how can this guy's worth $1 million or $10 million or what this guy makes per hour or per day or per event is because he's worth more. He knows he's worth more. So I want you guys to continue to develop and grow these self-images and these identities with your business and with yourself. But I will also tell you, put to rest your old self-image. Put to rest your old self, your old identity. Shed that. You got to get rid of that. Paul has a new identity. He can power wash. It's a new skill set. He's excited about doing it, but he put the rest. He shed that old identity of him not power washing. As simple as it is power washing. It could be as macro of being a provider for your family. Maybe in the past you just weren't. The wife's holding down the fort. She's got the good job, whatever. That's okay. Thank God for that safety net, that parachute. But maybe you want to have a self-image of being the provider and being able to finally get up on the horse. It might take you 10, 15 years, but you can still do it, right? I just really want to encourage you guys to have this better self-image. And when I got that customer for $40, I didn't hesitate. I didn't anything. I just like, yep, dude, it's going to be $40. Why? Because my self-image is at $50 for a weekly cut. Right? When somebody talks to me and they want to start talking about dollars and cents and making money or this other stuff, and I'm like, so you mentioned $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. I'm like, okay, cool. We're not heroes, but my self-image is millions right now. I'm on the pursuit to make millions. How do I get to $1, $2, $4 million? Right? I couldn't care less right now about $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Like I do. You know what I'm saying? Like it is still a lot of money. But my self-image is already at making $1 million a year. And I'm waiting for life to catch up to where my self-image is at, because that's how hard I've worked on myself this last 1, 2, 4, 5 years to get myself to be the type of person that is going to attract and have that kind of money, right? If you want to have it, that's one thing. You got to do what it takes to have, but you got to be first, right? You can't just have $1 million and do the stuff to get you $1 million. You have to be the kind of person that's worth $1 million. And that's what I really want to hammer home on this podcast. I see a lot of you guys out there, and I still do it too, guys, of course. But we need to get rid of the excuse making, the self-image crap, the preconceived notions and the bad programming that we've all been exposed to by society and life and well-meaning people, but maybe stupid, bad thought process and customers that just, wore you out before you even knew it, right? Like I was a 0 on this chart, and I was already -3. I didn't even do anything to get pulled back to a -3. I was beaten back to a -3 on this chart. And I was like, that's not even fair. I didn't even know. And if you say you're the victim, guess what? You're going to get pulled right to -4. Right? So let's continue to move that needle forward. Let's continue to move that self-image forward. The guy said, hey, $40. I said, $40 for a weekly cut. He said, awesome. He goes, go for it, bud. And I said, heck yeah. Because you know what? That $40 is at my self-image. I'm already even above that. And I'm not saying that like arrogantly, but I mean like my company, the work we do, the quality we meet, we are worth more. And we are still moving that needle forward every single day. Last quick thing, and I'll wrap this up because we're at an hour. The other guy that said that he fell back in his shoes, and I should have stood up for myself. I came back home. Last quick story. I came back home. I told Liz this whole story, and I said, and I just psychoanalyzed things. I psychoanalyzed life and cases and case points and studies. And I'm just like, what just happened here? And we just talk things out and we learn, because we're just like, dude, we're shedding our identity every day and creating a new identity. We're growing like we're moving fast. And I said, she goes, well, why did you let him talk to you like that? I said, I don't know. I had like a lapse. I said, I shouldn't have let him talk to me like that. I said, I should have told him to take a flying leap and more other expletive words that we can't use on this podcast, right? And I said, I'm really disappointed at myself. And she said, why? I said, because I let that guy talk to me today. After all the words I just said, I let that guy talk to me. This is rooted in humility, right, guys? Listen, I let that guy talk to me like the people were talking to me back 16 years ago when I was 20 years old back in the trailer park. Just beating me down, punching me down. They were fine people. It's just the mentality of some types of people, okay? I said, it took me back to 2005. I said, I had this like snapback flashback, and 16 years of just try, fail, adjust, life, learning, all this stuff. It all just passed through my eyes in like a millisecond. And it took me all the way back to 2005 when I let people just talk to me like that. And I said, I was so mad. I was so mad at myself. I was so disappointed that I let this guy talk to me that way. And so Liz goes, well, learn from it and move forward. No big deal. Cause like the next day I got the $40 cut guy. So like the parallel path of like, breaking the 4-minute mile. And at the same time, letting somebody tell me that I'm worthless, basically. And I said, that really fired me up. It just made me so mad. Like the polarity, right? I was like, this guy basically told me like my business isn't worth what I think it's worth. And I accepted it. But at the same point, the next day I said, we're worth $40 or more per cut. And the guy said, go for it, dude. Go for it. So Liz goes, what are you going to do? I said, well, we're going to mow his lawn. I said, we'll take on the business. Still a fair price. It's right next to where we have other lawns. It's part of our route. My guys know the property. Of course, we're going to mow it. I said, guess who's getting a rate increase letter next year? And she goes, oh yeah? I said, oh yeah. I said, if he's not happy about the $4 rate increase, wait till you see what I increase his rate to next year. And she goes, ooh, she's like, I like it when you talk like that. I'm just having some fun here. And I said, yeah, he's going to get a rate increase letter. And she goes, what are you going to raise it to? I said, it's not even what I'm going to raise it to. I said, it's going to give me the opportunity to have another conversation and for me to actually tell this guy how I really feel. And I know that sounds kind of petty, but it is. And I don't care if you like that. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care, because I'm not going to be like, hey, you're a blah, 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 blah. I just want to have closure and telling this guy, no, bye, sayonara, peace out. Because I let him win. And I say 100 times, you can be right or you can be wealthy. And you know what? 100 times I pick be wealthy. But you know what? In this exact scenario, I just got so mad that I didn't stand up for myself, that I have to get closure on that. And it's going to take me another 10 months. And that's okay. That's okay. But I told Liz, I said, I really enjoy getting the last laugh on people because I'm playing the long game. I said, I'm going to raise that guy's rate just so I can have him go, man, if I almost rocked back in my sneakers on this rate increase, imagine what I did when I saw that you raised it to $40 a week. And I'm going to go, wow, $6, bro. That's tough, man. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, most guys right now are cutting for 40, 45 in the area, and I'm doing you the favor. But hey, if $6 is going to get you goat and we're not the company for you, bud, sorry. Catch you on the rebound. Better luck next time. And we'll see you around town. And I'm going to hang up the phone. And as simple as that is, and as maybe petty as it is, I don't care. My self-image, I do not need to deal with that kind of person in my life. And I'm mad that he made it through my defenses, my gate. You know what I mean? To get in, to tell me that I wasn't worth what I think I'm worth today. Why do I think I'm worth more? Because I know I can help people. I know I can help him. I know I can help other customers. And I don't need people talking down to me that way. So I've shed that identity. Somehow it slipped through the gate. And I'm really, really frustrated that it happened. But these are just real talk kind of conversations that I'm dealing with you guys on the podcast, right? So any which way, I don't have this beautiful little bow to tie this all up. A lot of words here, but create a new identity for yourself. Continue to work on that identity. Who you are today is not who you were when you started listening to this podcast just an hour and a half ago. It's not who you were yesterday. It wasn't who you were a week or a month or a year ago. Don't keep operating the same way, right? If Jeff Bezos, if somebody said, hey, Jeff, I can teach you a way to make $1 million, Jeff Bezos would literally laugh you out of the room. He wouldn't care. Because if you're not talking billions at his self-image level, it's not that he's above $1 million. It's just that he's above $1 million. You know what I'm saying? And I mean that in the most microscopic way, from you cutting a lawn and getting 25 where you used to get 20, to doing a hardscape job for 40 where you used to get 25, to not letting certain people talk to you, in a toxic relationship, to, parents or family members talking down about you and your company or your business, thinking that it's a joke, right? All that kind of stuff. I want you guys to shed that crap. Get rid of the negativity. Create a new self-image, create a new identity, and say, you know what? I'm going to fight back. I'm going to figure this thing out, and I'm going to crush it with my lawn landscape business. All right, guys? That's what I got for you today. Some motivational Monday. Appreciate you guys big time listening to the podcast. Thanks for letting me rant. This is real life. This is what I'm going through every single day. I'm on the hunt with you. I'm on the journey with you guys, trying to make this thing happen, just like you guys are every single day. Take care of my wife, my future kids, and the legacy that I'm trying to build for me, my family, my company, and everything that I do. So, guys, appreciate you big time listening in. If you guys appreciate the show, don't forget to leave those all-important ratings and reviews. Just swipe down. You got to click the next episode anyway. Hit the little 5 purple stars if you're on Apple, iTunes there. Leave us a well-worded review. We really appreciate it. Leave a couple sentences. Let everybody else know that stumbles upon the podcast, that it's fire, and have that social proof out there. We greatly appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. And guys, that's it. I love you. As always, pulling for you. Liz and I are praying over you guys all the time, more than you guys know. And we just hope that you guys go out there, go get yours, fight back, create that new identity, and keep pushing the needle forward. All right. Over now, guys, from the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast studios. Let's kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer, and we will catch up with you guys here on the next one.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, and much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Check out Ballard-Inc.com to help dominate and elevate your business. Ballard Innovative Products. With over 20 years of selling accessories and 30 years in the business, we're sure that we've got something you can't live without. We appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season. Stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at Ballard-Inc.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.